What's happening, everyone, and welcome to my Star Wars Jedi Survivor review. Now, I just want to say that EA were kind enough to provide me with an early access code to Star Wars Jedi Survivor, so I have been playing it for quite a while now, and I feel like I've got to grips with the game quite well. In this video, I'm going to be talking you through the main positives I found and also the negatives. There isn't many, I'll be honest, but when you get your hands on the game, you may have a different opinion to me. So I'm going to start off straight away with the story. Now, the story is a massive positive for me because it does have some amazing twists and turns, and it's truly a great piece of storytelling in the Star Wars universe. There are some twists and turns you won't see coming at all, and these are thanks to some new and some returning characters from the first game. But I'm not going to go into the specific characters in this game, and I'm not going to go into what specifically happens. I'm not going to cover the story much more than that, because I don't want to give away any spoilers. The one thing I will say is that the game kicks off on Coruscant and quickly gets you into the action. The first thing I noticed when I was playing the game is that Cal feels just as powerful as he did at the end of Fallen Order, so it was really nice to go into this game and not have to relearn everything from the previous game. It really does feel like in the 5 years since Fallen Order, Cal has improved his skills as a Jedi and become way more powerful. The only other part of the story that I'll comment on is my time playing the game. At the time of writing this video, I have around 41 hours playtime in the game, and I'm sitting at around 95% completion within the game. But I did have my game set on the Jedi Padawan difficulty, so if it was a higher difficulty, I do imagine it would have taken me a lot longer to get through the game. A huge positive for me in Jedi Survivor is the customization. The customization's been drastically improved upon from Fallen Order, and you can change every part of the blaster, BD1, the lightsaber, and even Cal himself. Speaking of the customization for Cal, I do believe you are able to change Cal's hair colour for some hairstyles, but I haven't actually unlocked that option yet. It just does appear as an option down in the bottom right hand corner for some hairstyles. Obviously for Cal, you can change his hairstyle, his beard style, his jacket, his shirt, and his pants. And each item of clothing has 6 colour options, and these colour options vary depending on the item of clothing you are looking at. For the other customization options, you can specifically change the material type of each part of the lightsaber, the blaster, and BD1, as well as the amount of polish applied to each part. Once you've constructed your blaster, lightsaber, and BD1, you can then change the condition of them so that they either look brand new and pristine or ancient. You can see on screen the options for the condition of your lightsaber, BD1, or blaster. There are around 120 materials to choose from for the blaster and the lightsaber, while BD1 has around 100 materials to choose from, and each material has a set colour, but there are more than enough to choose from to get your desired look for your items. I'm going to be covering the customization in much further detail in a later video because it's that vast I couldn't really fit it all into this review and keep the video at a reasonable length. Another thing I really like about Jedi Survivor is the skills system. The skills system has been expanded upon, and there is now so much more to choose from, and you can even specialise in your chosen lightsaber stances by focusing on levelling those skills up first. I did this in my playthrough. I really like the single-bladed lightsaber stance, so that's where all of my skill points went, until I'd maxed out that skill set. Skills in the game cost from 1 to 3 points per skill, depending on how powerful they are really, and they are broken down into survival skills, lightsaber skills, and force skills. Survival skills are about Cal's resilience and focus on his health and how much he gains back through stims or defeating enemies. The lightsaber skills are broken down into the 5 stances that are in the game. So that's single, double-bladed, dual-wield, blaster, and crossguard. And obviously each one of those relates to specific skills to do with those specific lightsaber stances. The Force skill set is broken down into Jedi Concentration, which is about the amount of Force Cal has or gains back, Telekinesis, which is about moving enemies around and that sort of thing, and Confusion, which focuses on using a sort of Jedi mind trick-like ability on enemies to get them to fight for you. I really do like how in the skill system you can focus on specific lightsaber stances to get them leveled up depending on which one you really prefer. And again, it's something that I think has been improved upon since Fallen Order. Now, although I heavily favour one particular lightsaber stance, I do like the fact that there are 5 of them in the game, so that's another positive for me. The 5 of them are single-bladed, double-bladed, dual-wield, blaster, and crossguard. And each of these lightsaber stances has its completely unique playstyle. Like I said earlier in the video, I did tend to favour the single blade because it was the most balanced, and you can see that on the stats. And I also flicked between double bladed and dual wield, mainly because they felt a lot faster to me, and it made me feel like I was able to do a lot more damage in a short space of time. So in a sticky situation, or in a large group of enemies, I would use double bladed or dual wield, but for the most part I was just using a single bladed lightsaber. The single bladed lightsaber for me felt very balanced, and it was the one I used the most. Like I said, it's by far my preferred choice, and that is because it's balanced, and also I did like the look of most lightsabers as single bladed, so that did influence which stance I used most in the game. The double bladed stance felt like it was very good for defense, especially deflecting shots back at enemies and taking them out quite quickly, and it also felt a lot faster than the single bladed, so it meant that I could do more attacks in a short amount of time. The dual wielded stance to me felt like it was extremely fast, and I think it's the fastest style in the game. You can land a lot of attacks in a short amount of time, but I do feel like for defense it really wasn't the best, because when you were trying to parry enemies' attacks or deplete their sort of blocking bar that's above their head, it didn't really take it down all that much compared to the double bladed and the single bladed stance. The blaster stance for me felt okay, but I did find myself not actually using the blaster effectively when I was using this stance because I was just focusing on using the lightsaber. However, I did find that it could be extremely powerful when utilising the power shot attack, but this did require charging the shot up, and this was difficult when I was fighting large groups of enemies because while I was trying to charge the shot up, I was getting attacked and it cancelled the charge up. So then I just ended up going back to using the lightsaber. The crossguard style was the one I did use the least because it was by far the slowest and that really didn't suit my playstyle, but when I did use it, I did find that it was extremely powerful, and I found myself defeating enemies a lot faster than when I used the other stances. However, there was a drawback to this for me. When I was doing a lot of attacks, I felt like the attacks took a long time to complete, and while I was waiting for the attacks to complete, I was actually getting hit by other enemies, so I felt like I was actually taking more damage than I was dealing at points. However, I do think that this style could work really well for somebody who likes to take the game at a slower pace and counter enemies more than going all-out attack. The final thing I want to talk about on the positive side is the perk system, because the perk system to me felt like it added loads to Jedi Survivor that was missing in Fallen Order, and it felt like it allowed me to customize my playstyle even more, because each perk has its own positives, but some do have negatives. In total, I think there are 9 perk slots, at least that's how many I've found so far, and you can use perks which have a range of 1 slot to 4 slots. So if you really wanted to, you could equip 9 1-slot perks, or have 2 4-slot perks and 1 1-slot perk. It is completely up to you how you fill these 9 slots, and these 9 slots aren't unlocked at the start. You do have to unlock them as you progress throughout the game and level yourself up. Like I mentioned before, some of these perks do have negatives to them, so it's well worth analysing the perks and reading them properly before you just go ahead and put them in, because they could actually make you weaker depending on how you play the game and whether or not the perks suit your playstyle. Now on to the negatives. The only negative thing I have to say about Jedi Survivor was I felt like there was a point in the game, I'd say it was around mid-game, where I felt like I was going backwards and forwards between like 1 or 2 planets quite a bit. Or I would come away from one planet and then I'd find myself returning to it really quickly for another reason. And I did find it slightly annoying in Fallen Order when you would go to a planet, leave, and then go straight back to that planet again. I felt like it was a little frustrating and a little repetitive, especially when you have to walk down the same paths all over the time. However, some of the worlds in Jedi Survivor are absolutely massive, while some of them are a little bit more linear. But that's the only negative thing I have to say, because that's the only thing I found myself getting really frustrated with while playing the game. I never like the feeling of going back to somewhere I've just been to, especially when I have to walk the same path every time. But again, I just want to say a massive thank you to EA for sending me over an early access code for Jedi Survivor so I could get to play it early and put together this review for you guys, as well as work on future content where I'm going to be breaking down certain aspects of the game in a lot more detail, because there is just so much to cover I couldn't really fit it all in this video. But that is it for my Jedi Survivor review. But if you do have any questions about Jedi Survivor, please do let me know down in the comment section below, and if you want to see anything specific in a future video, please do let me know in the comments as well. I will be covering certain aspects of the game in a lot more depth, especially the customization, but I thought I would give you my first impressions and review first, and over the next few days release videos where I focus on more specific things. If you have enjoyed the video, please do smash a like on it to show support for Jedi Survivor on the channel. And if you are new, make sure to subscribe to be kept up to date with all future Jedi Survivor videos. But other than that, we'll see you in the next video.